Welcome, welcome. Okay. Hi, Ronke.
Hi, Tommy. Oh my goodness. So good to be here.
So I must apologize for my lighting. It's quite terrible here at the moment.
We understand.
Yeah. So how are you doing?
Oh,
Welcome everyone. My Isaac, Ronti, Ibadan Gist Arena. Welcome. How are you, Ronke?
I'm
It's so
fabulous.
good to see you here.
So good to see you as well, Tommy. I definitely have missed you. I missed your
I am
soft
here.
words and your your voice.
Oh.
I miss that.
I mean, well, you've been busy being an author, what can we do?
Thank God. Thank
uh,
God. Good to be here.
well, yes. Okay, so we have 6 people here. Welcome everyone, Biologist Arena. If you can hear me, just wave. Just wave. Oh, I can see some of them showing us some love. So welcome. And I really apologize. We're starting a few minutes behind schedule. Um, okay. So while we wait for others to join, let me just read a brief of the profile of this wonderful lady that I have before me, because if we start, might not finish tomorrow. Sure,
Oh, you're too
Okay.
kind.
So for the benefits of those joining us, that do not know who the fantastic Ronke is, Ronke Giwa-Onafuwa is an award-winning broadcaster, content creator, girl child advocate, and convener of Who's That Girl Nigeria, a forum geared towards empowering impressionable young girls in their teenage years. She's also the convener of Talk Mommy, an online support group and community for moms based in Ibadan, Nigeria. She currently works with Splash 105.5 FM Ibadan, where she first show Morning Splash. She is married to Adi Bajo, and they have 3 children. Ronke, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much,
First off,
Tommy. I hope there's no feedback from the
discussion,
fans
okay?
on, so I hope there's no. Thank you for having me.
So, so before we get deep into the discussion, right? How does it feel like to be an author?
It really does feel great to me, really. I mean, everyone should write a book at this point because, I mean, the level of respect you get as an author, I
Hmm.
guess people just think
Like,
you must have some sense if you can sit down, to put something in
right?
a book. So yeah, you get a different
Yeah.
level of, respect. You get invited to places that normally, you just wouldn't go. People think you are sensible and that you can contribute to conversations, and that's a really good feeling, trust me.
And you have had quite an impressive work experience. So I'm sure that getting into all of those spaces is something that you have worked for. So I'm really happy about that. I'm happy for you, right? So
Thank you.
yeah. So let's get into it, right? What inspired you to write your first book?
Well, yeah, this is my first book. It's called Lara's Lessons. And what inspired me really is my passion for young people. I've always been very passionate about helping young people and guiding young people to make less mistakes. I made quite a number of ridiculous and stupid, unnecessary mistakes when I was an adolescent. I was very troublesome. My mom, always just didn't want to tear her hair out. So basically, what inspired me is just me trying to be the person I wish I had when I was younger, basically.
Oh, interesting. Um, well, I don't know. When we say they were stubborn, now I don't remember. I don't know whether I was stubborn or I was a bit too kind to my
Really?
parents.
No, you seem so sweet. You seem like a perfect. You seem like a perfect. Like you'd have been the
And
perfect
apart from that,
adolescent.
oh, oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, thank you.
All right. Oh, okay. So yes, before we go too far, please, if you have any question, you can always put there so I can pin it or something so that we can pick it up in time and make sure that everyone's questions are answered and people get clarifications where they need to. Right. So I mean, we'll be following some of his room care. In one of them, you mentioned that the idea behind the first book was inspired by personal experience, and you just said that too, right? So can you be like elaborate a little bit so that we just know
Yeah,
more?
basically, there are about 9 chapters in the book, and the book is literally life lessons that I wish I knew when I was an adolescent. And yes, the story was obviously made in the book was written in fiction style, and I wrote it inspired by some of the things that I went through when I was younger. So basically, there are chapters about money. There's a chapter about adulting. Adulting, for example, I remember when I was an adolescent, and I know a lot of people remember too. Where you just fantasize about being older. Maybe your parents are annoying you and you're thinking, oh, you know what? I can't wait to get out of this house and be rich and famous and just buy anything I like. Maybe your parents say you can't have a new pair of shoes. And I think, what's wrong with these people? I just want to grow up and, and so a lot of the stories were inspired by my personal experience as an adolescent. So for me, I just wrote it in a way that I feel like young people will be able to receive it, as opposed to just writing a book that says 10 ways that you should avoid making mistakes as an adolescent. You should know what I mean. So yeah.
So definitely, I get that, and so what adulting was going to feel like because I just grew up to be an adult, right? And
Yep.
I mean, so many things are just hitting me left, right, and center. So I get
Responsibilities.
that. Right, that very I mean, I think that's brilliant. So in your own opinion, how would you advise a novice author, right, to define their audience? Because you must write to a person, right? Even though you are trying to reach a number of people, you must write to someone. So how do they define their audience and establish a good relationship with this audience?
Oh, well, first of all, know what you want to write. It's so important to know what you want to write about. It's in what you want to write about that determines. For example, I knew I wanted to write about life lessons. And I mean, a 40-year-old, yes, we're still learning life lessons, but a 40-year-old learning life lessons is a little too late. But yes, you'll be fine. But I thought it would be nice to write to a younger audience. So for you, if you want to write, think of what you want to write, for example. So, for example, if you're writing about romance, you know that the pretty hi Tommy. Oh wow. That I mean it happens.
Sorry for the break. Sorry for the break.
Breaking transmission.
Yes. Please, so sorry. Ronke, you are telling us about an
Yeah, how
author
to
can
determine.
define their audience.
Okay, well, thank you once again, Tommy, for having me on this platform. And thank you, everyone, for joining us as well. Sorry for the break. I mean, network, it happens. So I think we'll all sort of expect these things. I was talking about how to define your audience. And I think for me, is in determining first what you want to write. Don't just think, oh, I want to write to, because then what if you want to write to people that you don't know what you want to say to them, if that makes any sense? So determine what you want to write. It's in your, because what will make it easy is in what you're passionate about saying. So if you're not passionate about what you're writing, you're going to stumble, you're going to stop, you're going to give up, you're going to get frustrated. So determine who you're about and what your voice is saying. And then that will determine who you want to write for. So for example, if you want to write for children, you already know. So if you write, is it, how sexual is it? That determines your age group. If you want to just write something that's for men or for women. So determine what you want to say, and then that will help you define, okay, who would like to get this message that I have? Who would like to hear this message? Who would this message be beneficial for? So that's for, I believe, number one way to determine how to define your audience. Figure out what you want to say. It's in what we want to say that will help you determine, okay, who needs to hear this? So if you're writing for adolescents, you already know something that helps them navigate their teenagehood, something that helps them make less mistakes and just stuff like that. So it's nice to be able to want to write for everyone, but we all know that that's not really very realistic. So you just determine what you want to write, determine what your message is, and then that helps you define your audience.
No, that's fantastic, and I mean I agree, because it's even for general writing, even when you're writing for clients and all that, and you want to push it out there. Yes, you know that you want to read the general public, but you must still write for one person
Absolutely.
in mind.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
fantastic. Fantastic. So do you think it's important to have like regular communication with your audience? So for example, you, I mean, you are a new author, right? A first time author. Were you always communicating with your audience via, different channels? And if yes, I mean, what were they?
I think I would say I'm luckier because I was already sort of known. And then I was not just known, I was also known for, if you talk about me in Ibadan, usually you say, oh, if you're starting a project about girls, women, anything, then they will tell you, oh, talk to Ronke about it. She's passionate about this thing. So I was already known for that because I've been doing something called Who's That Girl? It's a pet project that I've had for a few years, where every year I bring girls together. We get to about almost like 700 girls, school girls, and then I invite speakers, different speakers that I think would inspire.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I bring speakers. We have fun, we have food, just a nice environment where girls can feel like they can be inspired and so on. So I've done that for about 5 years. Every year. It was COVID that made us stop. So I was already known for that, and it helped me. So when I was going to write the book, it was just a given that I would. So also I have a page for Who's That Girl. It's called WTG under Nigeria, where I'd share content that I feel would inspire girls daily. So I was already known for that. But for somebody who's maybe not popular, you're not on radio or whatever, you can also, start to talk about stuff like that on your page. And so, but I don't think it's even necessary. If your book is out there and, there's like a blog that explains your book, the right kind of people will find it.
So you see why, before we started this session, I had to do proper introduction because, Ronke, you are a big mother. If I'm permitted to say. Okay, so let me ask. We know that communication is always important because, you can write, but you also need to get people to read, right? That's the essence of the writing, right? So as an author, did you have to build a community, right? Because you already, like you said, you're already known and already tried in quotes, right? Did you have to build a community? Did you have to, pull people together just so that you're able to push your work?
No, actually, because even though I've had the Who's That Girl community, which is on Instagram for a long time, but I didn't necessarily have to open a different page for Lara's Lessons, and it's built up
Oh,
its
okay.
own community on it. Yeah, so I don't necessarily think you have to have a community where you can, if you as the author, you're already sort of like a name and a person. You may not even be popular or like a brand or anything. But starting from the people who know you, people who know that, oh, if I get a book by Tomi Lawal, I know that if she's talking, for example, every time I'm around Tomi, she's talking about PR, talking about comms, I know that if she brings out a book out. So, and it spreads from there. You know what I mean? So I didn't even use my Who's That Girl community to push the book. I used my personal page, which of course is about almost 20,000 followers strong. So, so I wouldn't say that's fair to somebody who maybe doesn't have. I would say that's not fair to someone who only has maybe like 1,000. But you can use sponsored posts. Nobody says just because you have 100 followers or 50 followers, that means that you can't sell 1,000 books. That's not true. You can use sponsored posts. If you write, even on LinkedIn, and just do little creative things, your books can reach further than your community on social media.
Oh, so speaking of social media, before we go ahead, thank you for everyone that is not giving up some love. All right, there we see you. Thank you, Bomb Break, everybody. Thank you. So now we're talking of social media and some of the things that you did to put your book out there. Can you tell us what your visibility strategy was? When Lara came out, I know that it was everywhere. I was so excited, so I was just sharing it everywhere. Right. So what was your visibility strategy?
Okay, first thing, you want to do a teaser. My first one was to do a teaser. So you want to create that
Okay.
suspense. So I mean, first thing I did was I sort of made people guess. I told people I was going to release, I'll be releasing something. And I've also done music in the past. So I've asked people to guess if it was going to be music or a book. You know, so people were going back and forth. I know that sort of spreads the enthusiasm whereby people are like, is it a book?
Mm-hmm.
There's something good about a teaser which piques people's curiosity. So I did that for about a week
Mm.
where I was like, yes, I'm releasing something. I've got something in the works. So that really helps. So you can do that. That also helps you as well. Because the more people are guessing, well, what's it about? Because that's the thing with social media. The more people are sort of looking and talking about you or commenting, the more the algorithm allows for other people, even those who are not following you, to see your stuff. So create
True.
even amongst the people that follow you, and it doesn't matter if you only have 50 followers. Create that curiosity amongst them. Create that engagement where you can get them to comment. Oh, do you
Mm.
think this is, or even if you want to say it's a book, what's the book about? So create that suspense in the first place. So it's after my 1 week of suspense, then I released the book cover, and then that also had, created a lot of buzz as well. So and then I did sponsored posts, which are things that no matter how big your community is, you still need sponsored posts, because you may have 20,000 people, but do 20,000 people engage with you? Do 20,000 people engage with the content? No, most of the time, people who have a
True.
million followers, if you check their comments, they only have
Mm-hmm.
maybe like 100. So you still have to create, put your
True.
money where your mouth is and use money, do sponsored posts, get bloggers, to also retweet and put up your stuff. Use your friends who are even influencers in their communities. And when we say influencer, we think, oh, a million followers. There are people who have 150 followers, but when they say buy this, at least 100 of those people will buy. So
Bye.
so
Yes.
don't look down on people who have 1,000 followers, people who have 200 followers. No, use your friends and loved ones. Say, oh, put up a post of my book, and if they can say, oh, buy this book, even if it's 20 people from that group that buy, the book, it is something for you. So those are ways that I was
It
able
is
to sort
something.
of get the book, to get out there a lot
Mm-hmm.
more.
Oh, so I mean that's good, and I love the part where you say put your money where your mouth is, because I mean, especially if you don't have a large following, I mean you can just you can just put something on your page and just realize that nobody's doing anything about it.
Absolutely.
Even if you
Yeah,
have
send,
people within your
yes,
circle,
exactly. You will be
that
surprised that the
they
people
are
that
happy
follow you.
about have
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. You'll be surprised that
that
the people that follow you will just like it, but they may not buy and stuff. So maybe give some
exactly.
books, set out some books that you can give to some people who are influential. Give it to them for free so they can put it up. Say, oh,
Okay.
I bought this book. That's something. It's going to cost you because the book costs you to make. So giving it free is not free. You're paying a price. So that's also putting your money where your mouth
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean that's interesting. I hope those listening to us are, picking a few things. Um, when you were mentioning suspense, I was laughing because I remembered a post on Twitter last week where there's this series I follow that they release every Sunday, and someone was like, so because the tension is always high, you usually
Yeah.
he watches the episodes in beats, so you can watch like 10 minutes today, 10 minutes tomorrow.
Yeah.
I don't comment so much, but I had to comment and tell them, please, I'm too curious for that. I'm too
Exactly.
curious. I
Yes.
just want to dive in. I just like watch everything at a go. So, but I mean, I like the suspense. People love a good suspense.
Yeah.
So that's a good strategy. So what's the best way to learn fiction or structured writing? Because I know that the best of what I do is perhaps press release writing and some other things. I try my hands on poems, on short stories from time to time, but
Yeah.
really honestly, I've not seen myself writing a full-blown novel. So I mean, what's the best way to write it?
And me neither, to be honest. To be honest, you and Tolu, I mean, when I volunteered at, like, people know I volunteered at Nigerian Men in PR. And for those who are watching, when I joined Nigerian Men in PR, Toby was my line manager. And,
Oh,
she was such an amazing line manager. She'd give me
Oh,
tasks.
thank
And for
you.
me, I mean, being in Nigerian Men in PR even was something that's very inspiring for me because I didn't think I could write at all before I joined Nigerian in PR, but you know, I was challenged to write, even though it was not writing fiction, but I was challenged to write. And at one time, I started writing fiction with some of our content. I started writing, you know, for our social media, for Nigerian Men in PR social media, and that really inspired me. So for a lot of people, it could be reading a book, go and read other people's books that inspire you. It could be just hang out around people who can write, like I did, you know. So I was around people who could write, even though they were not writing fiction. But then watching them write and reading, at that time I realized that whenever you'd write or Tolu would write, I would go and look and read and think, okay, wow, how'd they come up with this and come up with that? You know, so being around writers really did push out that writer in me. And also reading, I mean, I read books. I read a lot of books, especially fiction. I love reading fiction. So I think that really helped me as well. But I remember that when I started writing, I didn't know how to write in it, because I was saying to him, he said, she said, and it was like, oh my God, I didn't want it to sound too corny. So I had to go. I mean, Google is your friend. You just have to go onto Google, look at how they would write a dialogue in a way that is not too, oh, and she said that, and she said that, and she said that, you know, so it can be a little tough, but go to Google and just, you can get any information on Google. So resourceful, and I did. And then I found out how to write a dialogue in a way that is not too corny. Like I'm reading it, but I feel like, oh, wow, I'm watching two people talking. So that really does help. Reading, being around writers, those two tips, I would say, really, really helped me.
Oh, that's, I mean, those are good points, because I remember before I started working before I started volunteering at Nigerian Men in PR and working with Tolu, in fact, my writing was terrible.
What?
But you know, yes, because I would say that I was a lazy writer, right? But I mean, after moving a bit with her, seeing how she writes and seeing how other people write, how it's done, it got better. So, and yes, reading.
Yes.
Reading is just these days so many things.
I know.
But yes, that's a very fantastic one. Also, I see someone commented, I think Julia also commented and said, "Man, there's a Superwoman." So,
Pardon?
I said, someone commented, I think Julia, she said, there is nothing you can't do, Ronke. So, I'm just reiterating that you're a Superwoman.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. Okay, I mean, so for those listening, we're rounding off soon. So if you have any questions, please Ronke can answer. If you have about being an author, Ronke is an author now. So I mean, she has joined the league. She can answer all your questions. Other hard and soft skills that authors should have.
Let me see. Saving, because when you're about to publish that book, you need money. So saving skills.
Interesting.
I hope you're saving, because I mean, yeah, because I mean, it takes money to. We're talking about what they don't tell you about being becoming an author. They don't tell you about the money bit. They just say, write a book. You have a story in your head. You're a great writer. Write a book. There's so many things they don't tell you. The fact that you have to have money. It's not lots of money, but then the more money you have, the better. The more money you have, the better your publisher. Well, not necessarily. My publisher is great, even though it's not like she charged me in heaven and earth. But yeah, the more money you have, the better the book, the more books you can print, because the more you print, the less you print, the more money you spend. People don't tell you that as well. So if you're printing 300 copies if you're printing 300 copies of your book and somebody else is printing 600 copies of their book, what you'll be spending will probably maybe will
be more.
Less. So what's the point? Yes. So better just print 500 copies. The more you print, the better, because the printer is thinking, okay, if I use less, there's more waste when they use less of their stuff to make your book. So it's better to print more.
Oh, okay.
And of course, yes, so it's better to print more. Don't say, well, let me just print 100. You're not doing yourself any favors by doing 100. So it's better to print more. That way the printer will you can negotiate for less. So save your money, get a good publisher, a publisher who can also work hand in hand with you to also deliver what you have in mind. Because you don't want to see your book, because I was very scared. finicky. So I knew what I wanted my book to look like. No, even though I didn't know exactly what I wanted my book to look like, I knew how I wanted to feel when I was holding my book in my hand. I just knew I wanted a yellow book.
Okay.
So I had a good publisher who we're going back and forth a lot. So have a very patient publisher, a publisher who's patient with you, who doesn't say, you want it, because I'm also very detailed. I make sure all the spellings. So I was going through editors back and forth. The cover, for example, we had one first illustrator. And at first I was going, because sometimes I can be polite. And I was going to be like, this person is taking so much time to do this illustration. I really didn't like it. It didn't connect with me. And for a second, I was going to keep quiet and actually allow the book come out that way. But thank God, my husband was like, hey, if you don't like it, look, this is your book. And you're going to have to look at it for the rest of your life. Say something about it. So please, I said, and my publisher was so amazing. Immediately, she just said, you know what, we're not using this anymore then. And we'd already paid that half to that illustrator. We had to forgo the money because we didn't use the, the picture.
Wow.
We had to find another illustrator who now sort of, we're going back and forth because I can also be indecisive. I was like, okay, I want this. No, I want that. I want this. I want that. But my publisher was super patient with me. So get a publisher who is patient with you. Don't get a publisher that is that's too wealthy that your own book is like.
That won't have your time.
Exactly. Get somebody who's still hungry. That's why you should get a hungry publisher who's still trying to make a name. Someone who has the drive. My publisher is amazing. She's a woman as well. And she did a phenomenal work. So yeah, those are things they don't tell you. Because after the writing is sweet for some people. Also the fact that, writing didn't come naturally to me. So it took me about a year to finish. And I also wanted the stories to be believable. So it was a long write. But for someone like Tomi, I'm sure, trust me, Tomi, you should write. It will,
I should.
in 1 month. You should.
I should. So you have written now. I'm sure I have like motivation. I just need to maybe just look at your picture. I just say, Ronke did this. I need to write.
Yeah, if I can, trust me, you can, and you write so well. So yes, you should.
Oh, thank you.
Up, get a good publisher, get a patient publisher, save some money, and believe in yourself. Because at one time you get imposter syndrome. If who's going to buy this book? Hey, nobody's going to buy this book. If I print, for example, I think print 1,000 copies. Who's going to buy all that? And now we're almost sold out, so which is a good thing. We're going to reprint, so I'm really happy about that. But I know I did a lot of marketing and pushing. So I can imagine somebody who's not well known, who's thinking, who's going to buy this book? I only have like 100 followers. And those 100 followers on the line. So don't dip and say you have 20K followers and go and do 20K books. You will store your book in your house. So it's about the marketing, the pushing. Don't think about your followers. I don't think I mentioned my book on air, on radio, my radio show more than twice. And it wasn't like, because I didn't want to depend on people on radio, because I know that people can be very undependable, if I can use that word. So you're popular and famous doesn't mean people that are following you will buy your products, will buy your stuff. Exactly. So market it like someone who doesn't have any followers, who doesn't have anybody, and really basically that's what I did.
Yeah, everyone, you heard it. Market your book like you don't have any followers, like you don't have any family member or anybody pushing it for you. Go all out by yourself, right? You mentioned something about you writing for a whole year, and at some point I'm sure probably might have come on, gone off, and how were you able to manage yourself till you got to the end of this?
Oh my goodness. You described it well. It was like a light bulb go on. There'll be time when I'm like, so much fun. And then like a whole month would go by and I'll just be staring at my computer and I'll just shut it down because there was nothing was coming, So it was, sometime. And I remember that around just before December was when I think I met my publisher, maybe around November. And I'd only written maybe about 4 chapters out of 9. So, but something just, and the thing about me, a tip I'll give you is if you're doing something, make yourself accountable to somebody who can push you, somebody who can remind you, somebody who can encourage you. So I met her and I said, I'm actually working on a book. I said, oh, great, blah, blah. And then after that, she started WhatsApping me, how far? and she gave me a deadline. How about you write 2 chapters
Mm.
in 1 week, or 2 chapters in 5 days? You know, this weekend write 1 chapter. And that for me really helped me. So I was able to complete in 2 weeks. I think I started writing, and I had like a whole, like maybe like 4 months of not writing at all, because it was just, and I met her in November, and I finished writing before the end of December. So you can imagine just having somebody encourage
Wow.
me, saying, okay, how about you write 2 chapters this week? How about you write 1 chapter this weekend? It was very, very helpful for me. So yes, I had that time when I stalled, but just having somebody encourage me and push me to the finish line was very, very helpful. Because yeah, there are times when I just felt like, you know what, I think writing is not for me. Yeah. I think Iru Wakolo one day, you know how they say it's not our kind that they're looking for there. I know. Yeah, and if I can suffer that kind of mindset at some point, everybody can. Everyone goes through imposter syndrome. So, but it was nice to have somebody who believed in me and thought, you know what, you can do it. My publisher is very positive. You can do it. So I was like, you can do it. You know what, do this, do that. So I think it will help to have somebody who's like an accountability body who can sort of help you.
Thank you. I was going to say that having an accountability partner is very important, and I mean, you'll be surprised that some people actually get paid to do that. Okay,
Oh,
so people
really?
get paid to so people get paid to follow up on deliverables and tasks you set up for yourself every week. But what you
True.
said is very important, because there are so many projects I have, Ronke. I have started. I've not got it to middle.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'll just take
Be
that,
a
and I
coach.
mean, I just have someone, that can be following me up, on all of these things. So, I mean, that's been an exciting conversation. I have run out of questions anyway, because, are you, can you hear me? Hi,
Okay, we can
okay.
hear you now. Okay, yeah, we can hear you now.
Oh, okay. Yes. I said, are
Yes, I can hear
you
you.
like, I mean, since the teaser phase of the book, and it has been fantastic. Clara's Lessons, I've been watching how the marketing has been going on, how, I mean, it has, even for some of the activities, that's become a ripple effect, right?
Yeah.
So I've taken notes about that, and I'm sure every other person that has joined us this evening has something too. I'm sure they can still reach out to you in case anyone still needs
Yeah,
any kind of advice on being an author, right?
absolutely.
Ronke, I'm going
Yes,
to be
anyone
your
who needs that
DM.
hand out. Yes, please DM me, please. My handle is at Ronke Giwa-One. DM me if you need any tips, pointers. I am open, because I mean, this has been an exciting journey for me, and I always like to
Mm-hmm.
give back. Wherever I struggled, I've always seen it as a means to always help people who will struggle in that area as well. So totally. I'm open. My DM is open for, and I think everyone should write a book. And I think everyone should read more books. Read more books. So
True.
let's write books. We all have a story. We all have a journey, and your journey will definitely help somebody else. So yeah, everyone should write a book.
I'll definitely be in your DM.
Yeah.
Okay, so I said I've run out of questions, but I have one more. I mean, just as we round up, and you can also, I mean, as I answer this question, you can also just give your final words on listening. I said it took you 1 year. um, so between the time you started writing and the time that you published, how long was it?
Oh, it took about 1 year. So I started writing. I think I started writing in January last year. Then I stopped. Even though I had conceptualized the idea for years, to be honest. I thought about writing a book, but I thought,
Okay.
not me. So I think I started writing in January last year, and we published in December. So it took 1 year, to
So
write
a
from
full
writing, yes, when I started writing to actual publishing. Yes, so it took about one 1 year. But yeah, it was an interesting 1 year. It was within that 1 year that I was also working with Nigerian women in PR. So sometimes it was like I had so much
Aw,
to do, but so I'd only at night when I was
yeah.
done with our staff call, then I now focus on my book. The days I'm off, when I'm at my other work at the radio station, when I have some time, I was always stealing time, because I also teach. at a media academy. I'd always steal time and write. So for me, writing was
Wow.
always therapeutic. So I think when I got stressed, that little time I got, and stole to sort of write, always really just helped me to escape into Lara's world, which was a really cool
Right.
piece to my team.
Yeah, so interesting. I mean, thank you. And I mean, it just goes to show that the best things, they take the time that they need, right? While someone doesn't
Yes.
have to spend unnecessary for it to come out. But if it requires time, give it time. And
Yeah,
yeah,
any little time.
I think
Can be the easiest person in the world, but you can dedicate even in 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Nobody's too busy to write, I
mhm,
think.
yeah. All right. So thank you, Ronke, for gracing
Thank
us
you for having
with your
me.
gorgeous presence. So this evening, I've learned. I mean, I've like told you, and no worry, you're good with me. Thank you everyone for joining Royal Touch Empire D. I well, okay, yeah. So thank you everyone for joining. Thank you everyone for joining and for staying, for listening. You can always reach out to Nigerian Women in PR, reach out to Ronke to learn more about being an author and every other thing about public relations and communication. Okay, I would love to hear from you. Please make sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms on Instagram, Twitter at Nigerian Women in PR, and on LinkedIn at Nigerian Women in Public Relations. So thank you, everyone. Till we see you again next 2 weeks, I suppose. Bye.